Are you ready? Good evening and welcome to Norwalk City School District Board of Education regular meeting, April 16th, 2026. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Burkett. Here. Mrs. Crawford.
Here.
Mr. Gonzalez.
Here.
Mr. Norris.
Here.
Mr. Ritzenthaler.
Here.
Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Are you ready?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of
Good evening and
America
welcome to Norwalk
and to the
City School
republic
District
for
Board
which
of
it
Education
stands,
regular
one
meeting,
nation,
April 16th,
under God,
2026. Roll call,
indivisible,
please.
with
Mrs. Burkett.
liberty
Here.
and
Mrs.
justice for
Crawford.
all.
Here.
Mr. Gonzalez.
Here.
Mr. Norris.
Is there a motion to adopt the agenda?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Norris.
Yes.
Mrs. Burkett. Yes. Mrs. Crawford.
Yes.
Mr. Gonzalez.
Yes.
Mr. Ritzenthaler.
Yes.
Public participation. Each person who wishes to address the board will be asked to give his or her name and address. Each remark should be limited to 3 minutes in length. If after everyone who wishes to do so has had the opportunity to speak, additional comments can be made up to a total allotted time of 30 minutes. Mr. Booth?
Yes, thank you. My name is Terry Booth. I'm a candidate for Huron County Commissioner of the Republican Party for the primary in this May, and I'd just like to reintroduce myself. I know you don't have time to go through the myriad of issues that we have as a county commissioner, and they're never ending, and there's so many to talk about. But what I want to talk about is how I take an approach as being an elected official. And I'm going to use Norwalk City Schools as an example. I knew when I was commissioner that the property was going to be very important to Norwalk City Schools, so I started doing my homework. Mr. Cooley, I was in your office many times and we talked about various issues and whatever. I didn't live in the school district at that time, but now I do, by the way. But I went to, and I don't know if you remember, when you guys had candidates nights, and I listened to what you had to say, listened to hear your passion, and then followed the steps that you went through to design a school and to talk to the people and to get it passed. And, you know, everything was done the right way. Everything was done through hard work, you know, listening to the people. Did you make everybody happy? No. As elected official, unfortunately, we don't. But I saw that process. I went to the design. I saw how it was. Do I agree with what your design is? 99% yes. But the other percent doesn't make any difference, right? I mean, that makes a difference to you guys. But it's not me, because you're not out here to make everybody happy 100% of the time and do everything you can just to make them happy. You're here to do what's best for the school. And that's the approach I always take when I'm a county commissioner. Is it what's best for the county? And, you know, sometimes the decisions, people will say, well, you know, Greenwich didn't get this and New London didn't get that and Willard doesn't get this. I can tell you our staff does a phenomenal job of offering all of our services to all over the county. I can tell you in the 25 years I've been an elected official, I've been in more parades, festivals, gone door to door to more houses than anybody else in Huron County. I swear to God. When I ran, I went to every community, at least hitting 10,000 doors in a campaign. And things have changed a little bit now, and people don't like to come into your door and have the ring cameras and all that kind of thing. But that's my approach, okay? And I just wanted to let you know that we have 3 good candidates running, 2 other ones besides me. But we're all different. We all have different backgrounds. I'm going on my experience, on my process, and what I think I can do for the community. And like I said, there's a million issues I could get into. But I would just like to say that I was blessed last week to get to hold my 8th grandchild for the first time. And when you sit there and you look at that, and if you don't say to yourself, am I doing the best I can for the future of our kids and grandkids, it doesn't get any more important. I'd be happy to take any questions if you have, but I don't think that's your process.
We
Thanks
kind of
very
have a
much.
pretty open process, so.
Yeah.
Does anybody have any questions for Mr. Booth? I know when we had another candidate come, I had a few, so I know that the big hot topic is, property tax and things, and so I asked that candidate, so I'll ask you the same. Obviously, we're all sitting here because we think public education is very important, but public education is not the only thing at risk with property tax. It's a, multifactorial issue, in my opinion, but how do you feel? Do you feel that there's other answers than just voting no more property tax, or where do you stand with that?
Thanks for bringing that, because it's one of the number one reasons that I decided to get back in, is my experience and my knowledge in taxes. When I was a state representative, I was on the Ways and Means Committee, which is the tax committee, for 8 years. I was also vice chair of the financial committee 1 year. And when I was down there, I was promoting to them that we needed to relook at our taxes. Taxes are, decisions that were made 80 years ago, we're living with. And I truly believe that today, that we need a redone on all of our taxes. It would be very unfortunate, in my opinion, that if it goes through, that they eliminate property taxes. Because I don't think the general public really understands the role property taxes has in local government. And to me, local government's what it's all about. The best decisions are made locally. They're in front of the people. It's people you meet every day. It's people that you have to ask to vote for you. And property tax, although, do I agree that your property taxes ought to be able to go up 30–40% a year? Absolutely not. Okay, why do we do that? Because that was a formula that somebody made a long time ago, and the state refuses to look at it and to change it. There's all kinds of options for property taxes, to how you can collect some property taxes and how maybe you can do it locally and not the state take it, but the state do other ways and use something that works locally and something that you're used to locally. But I'm here to tell you that I am afraid, here's my thought. I'm glad somebody is bringing up the idea that our taxes are all screwed up. They're wrong, they're not fair, they're old, they're antique, but we still need to do things. And I don't trust the state to be the ones that come up with the right answer. And that's what the plan is. We're gonna eliminate property tax and there's no plan. And so who's gonna make those decisions as the state? I was there for 8 years. I see how they work. They can't make a decision in 1 year, which is what's gonna be required. And the other thing that I fear after being down at the state for so long, for 8 years, is rural Ohio is a minority. What do I mean by that? The number of representatives, the number of senators, the number of state elected officials that come from the most populated areas of the state, they have the majority. They have the votes every time. It doesn't matter what party you are. They have the votes. And to think that that the majority of the people that have the votes are going to affect how we're going to run our schools and run our local governments is in their hands scares the heck out of me, because they don't understand rural Ohio. I'll never forget being on the Ag Committee, and a friend of mine that was next to me, a colleague, we were talking about combines costing $500,000, $1 million. This was 15 years ago. He looked at me and said, "What's a combine? What's a combine?" And he was on Ag Committee. Okay? Those are my fears I have, that if we're just going to turn it over. Now, don't get me wrong. We have a great state representative in Kelly Dieter, and she's going to represent, she's going to push and do everything she can for us. I fully believe that. It's the other 98 that I have. So I think if something changes, we all, and all, I mean, rural Ohio, local governments, all need to be part of that decision and all need to be working together, because we're all going to be in this together. And we're trying to fight it one person at a time, so.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you. I have a candidate tonight, so I'll.
That's okay, thank you.
Good luck, thank you.
Any other public participation? All right, treasurer reports.
Okay, so to start off, we have the minutes from our March 10th regular session meeting. Next, we have our March financial reports. So I have good news for March. Finally, I feel like I've been nothing but the bearer of bad news for a long time. Our state reimbursement on the property tax was $100,000 over my forecast estimate. For the general fund, for the entire year, the homestead came in at $266,267, and the owner occupied, which is a 10% and 2.5%, was $974,000. Now, this is the one that they're looking to change, did change, the owner occupied, switching it over from the 10 to 2.5. They're gonna reduce it and make it actually owner occupied and not just the basic credit. So it'll go to 15.38%, but it will do that over 5 years. So it was actually an increase of $9,662 from last year on homestead, because homestead is like a fixed number, so it doesn't change very much. The increase was in the rollbacks on $108,136. This was due, as Mr. Bruce was saying, because valuations increased, not by the amount that he said, because taxes didn't go up that, but they did go up some, which caused what the state puts towards it to go up also, which is another reason the state's looking to reduce rollbacks. Because like on our latest levy, the emergency levy and the bond levy, there are no more rollbacks on it. That was something the state did because they didn't want to reimburse it. So it makes your taxpayers pay 100% of the levy amount instead of 87.5%. So the final amounts arrived this year in March. Last year, it didn't show up until April. So when you look at the comparison statement on your financial reports, you'll see the difference there, but next month, that's all gonna shake out when we're back to year-to-date being the same. For the entire property tax, the forecast estimate was pretty close. We were $25,000 over on real property and $54,000 on the tangible personal property. Tangible personal property is the taxable assets other than land and buildings. And when they talk about abolishing the property tax, the one thing they're not abolishing is the tax on that. They're only looking to, the language in their proposed ballot amendment says real property. So that means that tangible public utility personal property will still be taxed. This is your electric transmission lines, pipelines, railroads, natural gas substations, anything like that that is an asset that is not fixed permanently to the land like a building would be. So that would be interesting to see what happens going forward, because they would still be responsible for paying property taxes. In the case of a debt service levy, whatever is left in the area is required to pay the entire debt service. So if something were to happen in your entire community, be wiped out except for one taxpayer, they would be responsible for making up that debt service levy. That's just the way bond levies work. So in this case, the remaining taxpayers, the public utilities, would be required to pay this off. So that's kind of, I mean, there's a lot to the whole abolished property tax thing. A lot of unintended consequences, and there's just another one I thought I'd talk about tonight. So on the building project, because of last month's, the LFI MOU that we moved the money, so I had to move the 004 money not to a different fund, but just a different special cost center, so you'll see that on there. We actually did not get a state drawdown this April. We had a meeting with OFCC yesterday? Yes, yesterday. That she was at, Helena, and we thought we had missed some paperwork, but actually when we looked, we didn't miss the paperwork. We had requested $1.3 million for our April drawdown, which covers our April, May, and June bills. But the OFCC finance people decided to not send us anything because we still have $1.7 million of state money on hand, which you can see in the 010 fund. So they didn't send us that, and we should be okay. I'm a little worried about ending the fiscal year in a negative, but I don't, for that fund, but I don't think we're gonna have a lot of really large expenses between now and then, because we're not actually gonna be breaking ground till the end of June, July, so we shouldn't get those bills until after June 30th. But that is a bit of a concern, and Helena, our OFCC rep, was very upset that like finance didn't reach out and say, oh, by the way, we're not giving you any money. I mean, we had requested all this money and then they just didn't send it. She did say if it looks like we're gonna have an issue that we could do a special request and maybe get some of the money, so we'll see. So next we have our fiscal 25 audit. The audit is designed, it takes our financial statements and makes sure that they are correct in how they're presented, and everything was. The only problems we had with our audit were compliance issues, because we do the cash basis compilation instead of GAAP, which literally saves the district tens of thousands of dollars instead of doing that. And it actually is more accurate because we don't have to put our pension liabilities into it. When you do GAAP statements now, they require you to put your pension liabilities, which is your SCRS and your STRS. Now, if something were to happen and public education were no longer to exist, the school district would not be responsible for paying all of our staff's pension out. That would be the state pension systems. But with the GAAP system, it makes the school districts show those liabilities. So that's another reason that it's better really to do the cash basis, because it is more accurate. But unfortunately, it means that we have a finding for not doing that, and we're not gonna be in the newspaper with a little certificate saying how good we did, so. Anyhow, the other things that were in there, the 070 capital projects resolution that I actually had Bricker and Graydon, our bond attorneys, draw up for us. Because you remember the levy committee had like $3,000 and some left over that they donated to us to hopefully more donations will come in and we'll be able to use that in a new building. But there was some missing language actually, because revised code says exactly how it's supposed to be set up, and we missed. The attorney, she didn't think it was necessary. We did not have language that said exactly how much money we wanted to accumulate in this fund. We had to say how long it would be for, what it would be for, where the money was coming from, but we never said that. So part of the auditor's thing was they want us to readopt that resolution and add that to it. So that'll be the next thing on there, is we're gonna readopt that. And I didn't really have a number, how much money we want to accumulate, because really we want to accumulate as much money as we can get from the, donations in the community, and who knows, I mean, like when they built the high school, the entire auditorium, the Performing Arts Center was donated. This was donated by Fisher Titus. We're hoping for things like that yet to come with the elementary, so that's the other part. And then budgetary resources. On our estimated resources, I do not show or appropriate every single penny that we have, because we of course are not spending everything. We're gonna have a cash balance carryover. But the auditors want the board to know exactly how much they could spend if they wanted to spend every last penny. So going forward, we will do that because that's what they want. So I also am having the change to the estimated resources following up. And this is all just basically because it's a compliance issue that we have. And also the other thing was the fraud certificate. Remember watching the fraud video? We did that at the first day, then we have to do it again in 4 years. Well, we had some subs that had not done their fraud thing, and we had some employees that didn't stay long to do their fraud thing. So that was another compliance thing. Other than that, the audit was fine. They sent you everything and they sent you the management letter. Our main auditor is out on a sick leave. He had a major surgery, so he won't be back for a while. He replaced Brad Zero, who you've been talking to every year past. This is Jay is the new one. We can do it with his supervisor, but she doesn't really know the district because she's never been here. So we can either wait for him to come back from his surgery or we can do it with her. So you'll just have to let me know which way you want to do it.
Yeah, I feel like we could wait.
Okay. So the next thing we have is the readoption of the board resolution for the 070 capital projects fund, just like the last one, but we added that language to it with exactly how much money we want to accumulate. And then updated appropriations and estimated revenues. So you'll see the general fund, I had to increase that so that it matches what our current right now estimated resources are. And then the remaining funds that it's just as the year goes on, we have more information from when we do our tax budget in the February before and then again in July. So these are just updates to all the different funds with exactly where we're at right now. And then we'll do this again, probably one more time before we do it for the final one for the year. The last thing I have is a reimbursement for an employee who is taking a class. This is actually in the OPSI negotiated agreement and something that all OPSI members, if they so choose, can ask to be reimbursed for taking any education or training classes like that that pertains to their position. So we put that in there. Her actual class is $355, and we are able to use our Title IIA federal dollars to pay for that. So it's a win-win. And that's all I have for you this month.
Okay, is there a motion to approve items 3.1 through 3.6 on our treasury reports?
So moved.
Second? Second. Any discussion?
Joyce, under 3.5, the updating the appropriations, do any of those have an impact on our deficit?
No.
No? Same.
And, you know, even like the 100,000 that the rollbacks were the difference there, the estimate, that's good news, but it's easy to have those kinds of swings, because like we have, like, this year we have a lot of employees leaving, so a lot of it is gonna depend on when they want their severance. I mean, we can have a $300,000 to $400,000 swing by the time we pay out all these severances, depending on whether they want it this fiscal year or next fiscal year, so.
Sure.
It's one of those, it doesn't, I know it sounds like a lot of money, but in a $35 million budget, it doesn't always
Sure.
have that much of an impact, because we still need to definitely reduce our expenses for next year and do it in a way that's not, it doesn't impact our current staff or our students.
Is the O10 difference listed under 3.5 what you requested from the OFCC and
No.
what we did? Okay,
Well, yes, basically, because we're not getting our drawdown, yes.
so that is
Yeah.
why that's a decrease and that is what you're worried
Yeah.
about. So what was the explanation then? Because we already have it, that they don't have to pay it, but isn't that kind of the
Right.
partnership?
They just don't want us to have too much cash on hand because they want to keep it. I mean, it's just like everything, almost everything we do with the state, we have to spend the money first and then ask for reimbursement. There are very few grants or anything else from the state or funding that they give us before we spend it. It's usually we have to spend it and then ask for reimbursement. Which means if you don't have a cash balance, or if you're living on the edge, which, you know, before the tax money comes in twice a year, you know, that's why the CDs, I don't renew the CDs because we needed some more cash. It makes it difficult because you have to be able to pay it and then ask for it. Instead of them saying, oh, you're gonna, you know, you're gonna buy food for food service. Here's some money to go buy it. No, it's you buy it and then you ask for the money. So.
I was hoping that the building project wouldn't be quite that, like that. you
Yes,
know,
and I
but
was-
obviously, that was silly.
I was surprised because that was something that she kept saying, both Helena and Mark, her supervisor, that, oh, they're really good about making sure that you have enough money on hand. And so then for that to happen the first time, and Helena yesterday was really upset with the finance department that they had not reached out or told her or told anybody. And it's not just us, it happened to other districts too. So
Because like you said, we don't really have a lot of big invoices coming in yet for that, but
luckily, yes,
hopefully they don't do the same thing when we do.
right, once we start,
Right.
then you definitely need, and they have a drawdown schedule where they estimate, I mean, from now to the end of the project, there is an estimated amount of what your drawdowns are gonna be based on how the project flows. They know all this, which is where I got my estimated resources from, is this is what they should be sending us.
Any other discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Norris.
Yes.
Mrs. Burkett.
Yes.
Mrs. Crawford.
Yes.
Mr. Gonzalez.
Yes.
Mr. Ritzenthaler.
Yes.
Personnel.
On 4.1, we have 3 resignations due to retirement. The first one is Kathleen Robertson, who's been a longtime elementary counselor, and we got a dog along with her. So if some of you know, some people in here know that we've, you know, before we had Kepler, we had the original. So we will miss both Kathleen and her dog. Whitley. So kind of a package deal, so we'll definitely miss her. So we're gonna be like many of our staff that are retiring. We'll celebrate her on May 12th at the school board meeting there. Kathy Smith, she has done several jobs in the district, and she has finished up here. She's been at Maplehurst Elementary. She's going to be finished here at the end of May, and retirement effective June 1 as well. Sharon Linder, who's with us today, she has held many different positions in the district over many different years, and running point, I said, Norwalk High School, so she will be greatly missed. And she actually, it's good because you see her date, her effective date is September 10th. So we're looking for what secretary who will be filling her shoes in that spot. So in that critical position, she'll have time to work with that next person. So that person will be prepared. So she is going to be September 10th. So she won't be with the masses there in May 12th when we celebrate so many others. She'll have her own probably on the August board meeting to celebrate and honor Mrs. Linder. 4.2 employment, we have Sandra Norwood, school bus driver. This is pretty significant. We had our administrative meeting the other day, and we now officially have all our bus routes are filled. So I probably should not be saying this out loud, but I just did, and there's no wood around me. So, but we have those. We're looking for a sub. Yeah, that's my closest, right? Clearly some sub drivers, and we will take additional drivers, but it is nice to, on paper, to have all those critical routes filled. And with that, with Sandra, that achieved just that. Brooke Mead, who is with us. Brooke, if you want to wave to the masses there. So Brooke will be a brand new teacher for us. She's had the longest interview ever because she has been working in the school. So we had some mid-year departures, as you know. So she has been actually teaching at League Elementary for some time. So that's far better than a first round interview. A second round interview is, you have the principal, you have teachers, you have colleagues that'll be working with her, seeing her on a daily basis. So we can determine, do we really want her or not? And fortunately for her, and in the interview process, it was a strong, yes, we definitely want her on board. So anything there, Mr. Bowman?
No.
Okay.
Welcome, Brooke.
Yeah, super
Yeah.
excited. As long as the board says yes, we're supportive of you.
Yep.
We want you on board. So thanks for coming tonight as well, Brooke. The next two are speech language pathologist. One has a lot of experience, you'll see, and one is brand new. So we have one with step 10 coming from a hospital setting. And then we have Olivia Fordyce, who is brand new, step 0. Very excited there. We had multiple interview processes with them, and very excited to have them on board. Ratiba, that's kind of in her wheelhouse of who she works with. We're satisfied that we have the best that are available to us. So very excited to Emily Baumgartner and Olivia Fordyce. 4.3 is a supplemental contract, Samantha Davis. So if you'll see the years, that's 25, 26. That is a correction that should have happened earlier. She was paid by Robin Rogers through the musical account. After negotiations, there was actually a supplemental that was put for that. So that's essentially recognizing the work that she's done already with the musical, because she understands she does the intermediate and our middle school as well. But she's a critical part in the high school performance as well. So there is a step in the negotiated agreement that was decided on after. So that's going to be pulled from there. So therefore you have a code, you have a step, and that's why it's counting for this 25, 26 and not future years. Reed Nash, so similar to Brooke, he has been with us with Mr. Dowdy, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Dowdy at Main Street. He got to show himself, very impressed with him. And he actually just landed a position at Perkins. So he will be there, but to finish out this school year, we are wanting him to be a substitute for the remainder of this 25-26 school year. So another solid, just like Brooke, solid individual that we would have hired him, but he landed back home where he was from, and he was a Perkins alum, so makes sense, and it's a good move for him, but we want him for the remainder of this school year, hopefully. 4.5 and 4.6, they're somewhat similar in the fact that you have two individuals that are trained, they have license in the area. So Jackie White with her counseling, she came to us as a clinical counselor. We obviously put her in the role for a school district. She is asking, and this is a policy that you as the board have to say, yeah, she's able to do that outside of her working hours, paid salary for Norwalk City School District. So Jackie White is asking to do private counseling, actually I believe with adults, not even students. And then Melissa Aliman, who is one of our band instructors with Mr. Kish, she is looking to teach oboe lessons to a student outside her contracted time. And she's probably the only one in this whole entire region that even knows how to play that instrument, that can even teach the lesson. So she's the ideal candidate for that. So if you guys with approval, they'll be able to do those additional things outside of their contract. The next grouping, we have our administrative contracts, 4.7. This is a healthy year. We don't typically have that many, but we have 7 administrators there. So what's nice is having consistency of good quality administrators that are going through now the 28-29 school year. and all are in the same positions essentially they're in. Heather Loomis is the one with the billing change that she's going from League to now Pleasant Elementary, but all the other ones will maintain the position, the billing which they have begun. So very excited to have that consistency, and the admin team is solid. You have when we have our meetings, it's just nice when you have people that you know where they're coming from, and you can work and achieve a lot of things together. So excited about that group moving forward. 4.8 is our teaching contracts. So we have a list. I'm not going to read all the names, but we have 1-year contracts. We have the 2-year contracts. We have 3-year contracts, and then the final, which, you know, once you go having a master's, professional license, having taught for 7 years, 3 out of 5 in the Norwalk City School District, that's the qualifier for continuing contracts. So you look at people there, some are younger, but they have achieved those steps. And so my secretary, Kim McConaughey, keeps a healthy record, an Excel spreadsheet of all, like, who is deserving what steps you're at. So like, why are you getting 1 year? Why are you getting a 2-year? It's essentially how long have you held that licensure? How many years have you been teaching Norwalk City School District? And what educational level have you attained? So those are the critical factors that determine where you're at on the contract offering. So that is what I have for personnel.
Is there a motion to approve items 4.1 or 4.8 under personnel?
So moved.
Second,
Second.
any discussion?
Yeah, Mr. Mora, who I think is great, fabulous, and I've heard nothing but good things about. I know that he was initially placed in that position with an alternative license. Is there any update on whether he's like obtaining his like administrative license, where he's at in the process with that? I just wanna make sure that we're setting the precedent that in those positions we have like the appropriate credentials. And again, like I've heard nothing but great things. I think he's very capable. So I just had a
Yeah,
question on that.
Absolutely. He has done every step he needs to get his
Okay.
administrative license to be full-fledged administrator and not having to do the temporary.
Yeah, I know
alternative
there's the
licensure.
alternative pathways and stuff for that too, so I just wanted to ask, so thank you.
Yeah, and some school districts, because you can roll for some time doing that, and you're saying, are you really actually going to achieve what you need to do?
Right.
And you can do that and wink, wink, and continue and still be legal.
Yes.
It's not illegal to do that.
Yes.
You can be very legal doing that, but we're saying like, you're in this position, you will achieve that. So
Yes.
go ahead.
Yeah, with the supplemental license, he could only renew it twice.
Right,
So during those 3 year, at the end of the 3rd year, you would convert that to your
Okay.
permanent license. So,
Thank you.
yeah, it's all set up that way. So at the end of the third year, you can convert it to a professional license.
And again, like I don't doubt like his ability. I think he's done a great job. I just was curious.
Yep, so he's doing exactly what we're asking of him.
Awesome, thank you.
Yep.
Where is he, where is he at in that? How long's he, I feel like he's been here a while, but where are we at in that?
Well, so when he began, and that's probably what you're referencing, he was not hired by Norwalk City School District. It was
Oh, that's
through
right.
North Point.
That's right.
So similar to our principal hiring, it was through North Point.
I
So
remember that
you're
now.
essentially ours, but through, and so what you will hopefully be approving here in the superintendent reports, it's through the North Point contracts. So that's what that is. So that's where he began. So you're just like, it feels like he's been here for
Yeah,
some
yeah,
time. Like, why isn't that all finished? That's what he started. Because when the school in
I
which we
remember
hired him
that.
from, he was working toward it and it was the same thing.
He had already had some administrative coursework, so. And they do an audit to say, okay, looking at your transcripts, here's what you're gonna need to be able to
Awesome.
get your permanent license or your professional license.
Because we have teachers now in a similar, like you want quality people, and there are sometimes like quality people don't have the licensure they need. So Mr. Baum, I'll give kudos to him because he is working with them like, what is the way we can do it? What is, and like, you don't always want the fastest because fastest is not always the best way. What's the education? We don't want to just like take this like joke course and then take a test and we're good. We want people to be prepared in the position they're ready for, but you know, there's plenty of opportunities to get people, and I would love to get high quality people more than someone who's not good, and you have an interview, you're not feeling good about it, yet you're saying, on paper, he or she is qualified for this position. That's burned me and many other people in these positions before. So that's like, give me quality all day and let them say, I will achieve this within the X amount of time that it will take, with Dan Ballman's direction.
Yeah, no, but we've been very fortunate, that the state allows, for those
Yeah.
alternative pathways because, there are some areas that you can't find applicants for,
Right.
so.
I've heard
like
this
Mr.
conversation
Cooley
about
said,
business teachers.
you find good people
Yeah.
and give them a pathway,
Yeah.
to
Right.
become, quality teachers in those areas.
I 100% agree. So thank you.
High school interviewed business candidates last night. So you had the range. You had a person, I've been in business, zero education. So you have to do, what does that look like? How many courses? What does it take to have the education side? You have someone who, I'd like to do it. I've never done it before. I am a social studies person. Well, that's closer than maybe a math person because some of my previous college courses can say, check the boxes. So I might be less. So we had the range of people of what you're looking at, because we've landed some quality people that maybe have done 10, 15 years in the business in that sector. And then they come in and they're amazing in the classroom because they can offer the experiences they've seen, lived, and, for many years. So that's
And it's not given to them. I mean, the initial part is they, for a lot of them, they have to take the Ohio Assessment for Educators to pass a test to even apply for your supplemental license. So, I mean, you do have to have some knowledge of, those areas.
And those are not simple because we've had many people studied, smart people that have studied, that have gone for stuff outside of their trained college background and have been stumped once, twice, third time they may get it. You have those things and these are sharp people, but it's content you've never been exposed to.
And the majority of the supplemental license are, people that you have to have a teaching license. There's two different pathways. One of them, is kind of, I guess, the easier way to do it is if you already have a teaching license.
Any other discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Norris?
Yes.
Mr. Gonzalez?
Yes.
Mrs. Burkett?
Yes.
Mrs. Crawford?
Yes.
Mr. Ritzenthaler?
Yes.
Superintendent report.
On 5.1, authorize me to declare impracticality of transportation for students between board meetings. So this is essentially I can hire staff between board meetings. You're the official, you're the formal, you're the stamp of whether we hire people or not, or accept resignations. This is basically giving me the ability between board meetings. So if there is a family that lives in Norwalk and they wish to take a child or their children to a private institution outside of Norwalk, it is more feasible for us to say, here is the money, you figure out the way you're going to transport your child to that place, rather than us having to get transportation, a driver, a bus, a van, to take 1, 2, 3, however many children somewhere else. So some may ask, why are we having to do that? That's a requirement. We have to do those things. So that's an offering of, here's the money, you figure out your transportation. So that's the discussion on what's impracticality mean. We could not be able to do that without, it'd be a lot more resources you would need to accommodate that. So that's the situation. Is there anything more to clarify on that, Joyce?
Nope, that's it.
Okay, all right. 5.2 is third grade assessment. This is a resolution, which this is a decision on the district that we choose to have third grade assessments in paper format rather than online. So this is the annual you have to do. The state requires it, and we've done this for some time. We as a district think that is best, rather than putting kids in front of the computer. So we have done that, and you probably, if you've been on the board for some time, you've seen that as an annual in this time of the year. 5.3 is a contract with ESC. Now, most of these going forward are for the future years. This is for comprehensive MTSS. I can have Ratiba here and she'd probably talk to you for the next 2 hours, but we have a board member that can talk to you for the next 2 hours if we gave her the, if we handed it off to her. So if you go deep dive questions, we'll just reference Kayla on this one and don't look my direction then. So 5.4 is a contract with ESC with Lorraine County for the 26-27 school year. 5.5 contract with Huron County Board of DD to provide services for the 26-27 school year. 5.6 Huron County Health Department for nursing services K-12 for August 1, 2027 to July 31, 2027. Contract with that same group for preschool and the same dates. 5.8 for next year voluntary student accident insurance program. 5.9 for next year PEP therapeutic service contract. And then the final one, which is the large one, is our North Point ESC. And that's what most of our services come from. There are some things that North Point can't provide. So why are we going to Lorraine? And Kayla, you probably know that not all things can be offered through the ESC. So some other ESCs provide those services. So that's what that is doing for us. So a lot of contract language there. A lot of things have been directed. So feel free to ask questions on that to Joyce and or me. And that is all I have.
Motion to approve items 5.1 and 5.10 under superintendent reports.
So moved.
Second? Second. Couple questions. Am I crazy or is that the right dates listed? August 1st, 2027 to July 31st, 2027?
Nope, should be 26.
August 1st, 2026.
It should be August
Yeah.
1st to 2026.
Correction.
Which one is it?
Both 5.6 and 5.7.
Those are 26s.
I didn't notice it till he was reading it, and I was like, that doesn't sound right. And then I know we kind of talked to the pre-board agenda meeting a little bit. Did we find out anything if we can do any of those services within what we have, or no?
Most of these services are things that we cannot provide.
Okay.
Because principally, we'd like to bring things in-house.
Yeah.
Because we know who our people are and we can do those things. A lot of things we just can't. Or it's so expensive if you'd have to do that, because they're not full length like you're serving a kid. It's like partial commitments kids are getting. So the expense behind that would be,
Yeah, I just knew there was a
That's not-
possibility in 5.6, but if there isn't, that's fine too. We could always revisit it, or I think it was 5.6.
I think there is a vision program that Dan's been looking at, trying to get in the district. So if we are able to get that in for the vision screening, then we could use that.
Okay.
It's a new,
ILC,
yeah.
student eye exam, Ohio student eye exam.
And it depends on when it happens, because I feel like these screenings are required to happen at certain times. So
so screening that our nurses aren't doing, like our 2 nurses we currently have paid on the payroll that are not doing those things. So those are services outside. If you saw Governor DeWine was at New London, that was one of the focus areas because of what they had, and that's exactly the program. One of several reasons he went there,
Yes.
literacy and then that, but that was addressed if you read that article. So that's what we're attempting to do too.
Yes.
And that would cover like one of those areas of what health department does.
Any other discussion?
Yeah, this is more out of curiosity. For 5.1, I know like we can offer those funds to parents. Can parents refuse that and say, no, I want you to take my kid there anyway?
yes, so actually what this is, going forward, this will be on at the organizational meeting, because this is just a generic allowing the superintendent to do this between board meetings, because there are very specific deadlines in revised code that the district, public schools have to meet. If we miss something, then we can have our transportation funding withdrawn from us. So short of scheduling a special board meeting to do something when it comes to transportation, this allows Brad to make the decision, the board to formalize it at a later date so we don't miss a date. So the first one was April 1st. Any private school had to let our transportation department, our district know by April 1st if they have resident students there that might need transportation. The next step is we need to reach out to those schools, because they didn't provide any information. They just said they were requesting transportation services. Well, it's not to the school, it's to the student. And it's resident students within a 30-minute drive. So it's this is why we bus St. Paul students, because they're here and it's within 30 minutes of any school building that a student would be assigned to. So going forward for next year, we need to look at who are these students? How many students actually want transportation? Because they may not want transportation. So the next step is to reach out to these schools that have contacted us and said, we have this request, or we have these students, find out who they are, and then see if the parents actually want transportation. At which time we need to sit down with the transportation department and decide, is transportation impractical? And there's 6 different reasons in law why it might be impractical. Financial is one of the reasons, because it is very expensive, a bus and a driver trying to meet their bell schedules. I mean, like we stopped transporting to New Story. You'll remember that maybe, because we didn't have to transport them because we didn't have a student going there. We had been transporting because we were already going downtown Sandusky. When that stopped and we weren't going down, we stopped transporting because they were past the 30 minutes. Well, now we have some of our students placed there, so we're back to going there. So now we're back to transporting those other students, even though, so if we can do it, we will do it. But if it costs the district, or for other reasons, like we always have a bus driver shortage, which yes, this was said at the meeting, we were full up on bus drivers, and then we had a bus driver fall yesterday. She tripped over the sidewalk and fell, and yeah, it was an ugly. She's okay. She wasn't here today. And she's pretty tough, so she'll probably be back. But yeah, we're already out of bus driver. And we don't have subs for this. So there's a lot that goes into declaring it impractical. Other than just the finances, the fact that we just don't have drivers. So
But the critical
process-
part you said that I didn't say was the 30 minutes. So when I said what I said, like, I can't go to St. Ed's in Cleveland and say, get me there. What's the money to get? So that's the critical time. So you know the range of what type of schools we're looking at that would be that and not be beyond it. So that was a critical point that I did not state.
So if the board determines it's impractical, which we'll decide, and then we'll bring it to the board, when a student actually asks for transportation, the board will decide it's impractical, and we will offer them payment in lieu, which is we will offer the parent money, which is set by the state, how much it is. It's up to 50% of the actual cost of transportation to transport their own student. And then at the end of the year, they turn it in and we pay them. The parent could say, no, I want you to take my student. Okay, because maybe the parent doesn't have a way to get in there, right? I want you to take my student. Well, then the district has to start transporting a student while we file an appeal with the state. State Department of Education. Then it goes to the state and they determine if it is or is not. I did actually have this happen when I was at Clyde. We had to go and have a hearing with the state. They were looking to not transport to Immaculate Conception in Bellevue from Clyde. It was within the 30 minutes, but it was impractical because it was a variety of reasons. So we had to transport while we went to the hearing. So yes, there's a lot of steps. But if you miss a step, by law, it's very expensive. You might be hearing about some of the big 8 schools that are having problems with transportation because there's so many private schools that they're required to, and trying to get it to mesh, they just can't do it. And there's other,
Even though they have more options, even though they have busing within a city, a Cleveland, a Columbus, you put a kid on a bus and they're like, you just pay that and that's how they get there. And you're doing a lot of the ride shares, like even those companies, but they don't really exist so much here. But you think like, put the kid on an Uber a kid to school every day. Like those are things that are being offered now.
and they only work, there's certain rules when it comes to trying to do that. You can't do it with younger students. You can't do it if they have more than, so many transfers, if they're on the RTA. There's just so much to it. But the state, unfortunately, doesn't seem to understand how hard it is to do transportation. And there's I think it's a House bill out there right now that they will hold the superintendent responsible. Will take the superintendent's license if they feel that she has willfully not provided transportation. So, but we all know how hard it is to provide transportation even to our own students. But sorry, I digress, right?
So this is essentially the blanket coverage now, but anything brought to us in the time frame will be brought to you on the case, obviously without stating names and families and where that destination is.
Yeah, we do a few of those at organizational meeting.
Right. And this is something, and we talked about this the other day because we did have the one school reach out to us, and then I had a legal Zoom today and they said, make sure your superintendent has this resolution. And I'm like, oh, we don't have this resolution. So, and it isn't so much, it's just so that we don't miss a deadline,
Yeah,
right?
right,
It'll
right.
all come to the board, and actually names and schools come to the board too. It has to be that's in law, so. Stay tuned, we'll hear more about this.
Amongst other things.
Any other discussion? Roll call, please.
Who was first? Let's see, Mr. Norris.
Yes.
Mrs. Burkett.
Yes.
Mrs. Crawford. Mr. Gonzalez.
Yes.
Mr. Ritzenthaler.
Yes.
All right, board discussion.
I was gonna start with showing some of our images of our exterior of our new PK8 school. So if Mrs. Gerber can put those on the screens. And I will share these with staff. So we just received these today. We had a core meeting yesterday, so we gotta finalize this. So these are gonna be the look of the footprint and what you're having. So there is the massive front of this build. So you think Norwalk High School, the current building we're in, looks large. This is much larger than that. So we have brick similar to the high school in appearance, and we have similar accent lines. We have some split face, so you're seeing kind of the tans there off from the main entrance. And then our main entrance has the blue. So we're kind of incorporating the school colors on some of our entrance points. So we have that on our main entrance front here. So this will be the 6th grade wing here in the brick. This essentially is kind of office space on that front, so that's the one level. And what the design team was looking at, these are small kids, so they're trying to keep it to scale. So our larger things are toward the back, but when you come to it, it's not some overwhelming 2-story, 3-story high build. So we have 6th graders in this wing, essentially office zone here, and then this wing that you'll see off of Shady Lane. I know this looks like a walking trail. That's how computer images make it look. That's Shady Lane, and this is grass without dandelions and groundhogs and such. So it's kind of nice having computers do it and not having actual. But this will be our PKK, and then this will be a standalone PK entrance. So as we know, PK, they're bringing their students in, and they're not having to go to the main entrance and make their all the way down, because essentially most of the time I'm walking my child in to that entrance. So that's what that is. So that's what you're seeing on the front. So we're kind of, and there's another angle of it, a little closer view of it. We're doing the metal roof, so that was in the bond issue. We're going a couple shades darker than what Norwalk High School is. So if you look at the standing seam, which is the best roof you can put on, some schools, when you can't afford it, you're doing like what some are putting on your house, like we've done it for years, asphalt shingle. It doesn't hold up as long. Is this more expensive? Yes, but it lasts a whole lot longer as well. So this will be slightly darker than what we see at Norwalk High School. Again, these are pictures, so it's not going to be spot on, but it's going to be very close to what it is. So you're seeing the different kind of colors and elements, and we have the lights up here, or the windows up there. That's bringing light into the cafeteria area, similar to Norwalk High School, because once you're inside the building, how do you get that natural light in? So that's kind of those standing surfaces you see there. So if you want to make your way around here, Mrs. Gerber. So here, this was the PK. You'll see this is a playground. We have 2 playgrounds. This is by law has to be fenced in. So we'll have, hopefully, this is all like tied to how much things cost. But this is our plan right now. We haven't got to design development to have actual numbers. So we have numbers on paper that we think we can do this. So understand that all things come and you have to do value engineering. And if it says we can't quite afford that, all things in a big project like that, you have to make shifts. Were you doing something that might not be your first choice, you do your second choice. But it's going to be a beautiful building no matter what we do.
That's where your progress rendering is on the top.
Yeah, I will emphasize what we put on these language here. Progress rendering, put the draft on these pictures, not like if it doesn't look exactly like that. Well, you show the pictures on April 16th and it doesn't look quite like that. But so we don't have a perfect angle, but essentially we're using those wings where the double stack is, the single, we're using that for safety and the protection of kids. So if you could look down into that zone, you kind of have your quieter grass, social academic areas. And when you make your way out, further out to the fenced area, that's kind of the louder activities on a playground set. So looking at Robin, we've had playground committees. We met just yesterday, right, after our core meeting. So we're talking about, and a lot of these things are fun. Some are tedious, but some are a lot of fun because you're getting the playground equipment, what's good. We talk about obstacle courses, like kids that currently like turn things into like time it. You go the monkey bars, and you go through this, go through that, and they time and make things fun. So we had PE teachers, we had aides, we had people all across the board kind of getting input. So we have a lot of different committees, but that'll be the fenced-in area. This will be our large, as you can see. So on the bottom level, we're basically going 1 and 2 on the bottom level, and then grades 3 and 5 are on the upper level on this part that you see. So 4 is essentially kind of in the middle zone, and then 3 and 5 will be the top level. But here are some of the things we've laid out. Doing a lot of Foursquare. Mr. Kreischer, Coach Kreischer wants probably a lot of free throw, a lot of basket hoops lined up. So when these kids get up to him, they're shooting 95% or better. But Gaga ball.
Gaga pits. Yeah.
Gaga pits, that's what these are. So we basically, and the black, the darkened surface, that's where we're gonna have the swings, the monkey bars and those things. That's what we had in the bond issue. That's that soft surface. So similar to the park that we have, that's gonna be that soft surface. So we essentially have 3 different looks here. You're gonna have that very soft surface. This will be a concrete, the white, and then the black will be asphalt. So that's the kind of 3 different looks. So it's a good look. I like it. And then up here, similar to that, in this front place, you'll have benches there that kids can sit eventually with those trees there, and kind of the quieter area, right, as people are coming out those doors. And then you can see the louder activities are here. This is actually going toward the senior center side. So if balls and such are coming this way, we do have the road that's going to wrap around, but that road that is going to be entirely shut off during the school day. So the drive that comes here when the PK and people are exiting, that's going to be fenced off, and it's going to be fenced off back there. So any balls or anything that make their way that way, you don't have to be concerned like a parent's driving in and that happens. So financially, some would say I like that to be fenced in. I think that was like the question yesterday, and right now it's not, but I feel like that is a nice protected zone back here that we don't necessarily have to fence it in, because like I said, it's a nice area that people will not be around. So that is the look continuing there. If you want to go to the next one, please. This is where you see the massiveness of this build, probably more so in the back. So here you're seeing the double stack. So, I worked at Norwalk High School for a long time. You say, well, the two academic wings, that's your double stack. You think about when you're staying in the back, and this is the main parking lot. During the day, this will be your entire staff in all positions parking in this zone. And think what you have here. You have that double stacked here. You have double stacked there. You're seeing double stacked there with your main gym here. So it's beautiful because we flared these wings. So it opens up entrances that much more natural than being tight like a 90-degree angle. So you have access points to get into there. So again, elementary side, we have our shared services with the big gym, the smaller gyms running the opposite direction, kind of perpendicular to one another. And then you go to the middle school side. So on the double stacked, I said 6th grade's on the front right from Shady Lane when you're looking at it. This will be your 7th and 8th grade kids stacked on that end, on the residential side toward Norwood.
Can Jen zoom in on that? Jen, can you zoom in?
We got some
No?
zoom ins here.
Okay.
So we'll show 2 zooms like into your athletics. So this will be the main, so at night, most of your traffic will come here. If there's a volleyball, basketball, if we have something on stage.
Nice, isn't it? Yeah.
So we actually are meeting, you'll be meeting too,
Okay.
on Wednesday. So we're looking, that's going to be our focus with the interior design committee. The focus is going to be this entrance and the media center. We focused before on the main entrance. What does this look like? Because you want wayfinding, you want people to know, because we've all been at gyms where like, what door am I supposed to go in? There's many doors there and I'm not sure where I'm supposed to go. Like, this is very clear. This is where you're going to go. These are your main entrance. Like I said, we're going to have the stage right behind that in the cafeteria. So that's going to open up. So you'll know whether we put athletics. This is the locker rooms behind the main gym. So that's what we're going to have. So those are the outs immediately out. But yeah, with this being flared into that pod and that wing, it makes a nice entrance point for it.
Can I add one thing too? If you notice on that first slide, with the school bus there, the front of the building will be for the bus pickup and drop off. The back here, you see, this is where the parent pickup and drop off will be, and that will be the main entrance for those kids that are being dropped off and picked up.
So we had a zoning meeting last night, and we were approved to build the school because this is a R1 residential zone. So that happened last night, but essentially we understand we need to get traffic off Shady Lane, and that's our number one. So how are we making that naturally happen? It's going to be basically where you're coming from Shady Lane, and it's going to make the big loop around to come to get to this point. So instead of like, you have to stage people somewhere, and that's our attempt to do that, is using our own property on the west side to bring them in with the big loop, and then you're picking up your kids here, buses on the front. Not quite like the high school in this horseshoe, it's a more kind of elongated piece, but so that's the look. Anything else on that? Okay. So here's the other wing. So this is now, this is the service area. So this is going to be the kitchen, all your custodial. This part's kind of the ugly part. All schools have to have the HVAC and all those things. But right now, if we have the money, we're going to fence it up and have a nice black fence around it, which will be nicer than even the chain link that we have back here at Norwalk High School to cover some of those ugly things up. But yeah, this is the food. This is like Tim, Corey, Brad Kraft. This is where all your stuff is coming in this building. So this is a wide path that trucks will be backing up and doing direct deliveries to this point. So this is a very nice part here. So this is off the cafeteria on the middle school side, maybe not limited to middle school kids only, but you'll see the courtyard out here. So to think like we can pull a class out there, we could eat out there, so many different things you could do in that space. It's clean, it looks nice. The fire department may want us to put a swing gate on this because they understand with their trucks, they need to reach all points. So it might be something that we have to do that's an opening, but most of the time it can be that look. But if I needed to, I could back a truck in there and get my ladder to wherever I need to be on that school. But that's an impressive part here that was basically recently put in there because we were kind of playing with how this whole service end would work, kind of where dumpsters go and those parts. So so that's the middle school wing and that's the stack on that side. So is that the final one? Okay. So.
Awesome.
And you see, these are very similar to what we're trying to, it's not gonna be exactly, but kind of mirroring the accent of the lines that you'll see here. That's, so it's not solid brick all the way, but it's a nice line break. And they do implement some of the blue navies here. It's tough to see in this image, but some of the front entrance wrap will have that. So, and then the split face here on the side. So kind of determine different places to put that.
And I knew I came to you guys asking about that skirting of split the face to save some money. We asked Governor Miller to make pictures of it. We looked at it the other day. It was ugly. So,
Never mind.
yeah, we pulled it. It wasn't worth it.
Okay.
And it comes up too far up by the windows and it just, those windows are really tall. So it did take away from the
And it
looks of
kind
the
of,
building.
Ralph, I think made the windowsill disappear because it
Yeah.
almost looked like the same. And here you have a nice standout that goes off of that brick rather than looking that same look.
Yeah,
So,
that's why we pulled it. So we're all set. This is what we looked at. This is what we're going with.
Gotcha.
Right?
so, yeah, so I am clearly biased, but I've been to a lot of schools like the last week's state basketball, state wrestling and in Columbus and Dayton. I went to a lot of schools like thinking this is the most beautiful school I've seen. And I've been to a lot of new builds. I've been to a lot of new builds and there aren't too many places that look like this that stand the test of time because when you drive by Norwalk High School, you're not thinking like, is this some old school? People still ask the question, this is, how long has this been built? And you're shocked at the fact that kids moved in here in 2001. And I think when we have this across the street, you're gonna be in 2050 and 2060 saying that looks sharp still versus like, okay, they did some dated design that was like good in that little window of time in the, 2025 era, 2026, and it's reached its limit. So I think it's solid. So
And that section right there you're looking at, I think that's double ceiling, right? I mean,
Yeah,
it's way
yeah.
up there, yeah. What we did was that commons area for the kids, it's massive and it's so gorgeous. I mean, it is good looking. And they're gonna have a lot of nice space in there, those kids are, for doing anything they want to, eat your cafeteria lunch or whatever, a lot of, shows for that stage that's gonna be in the other end of that.
Can we see Bill?
So there's gonna be a lot of natural light, and that's one of the things with like Ed Vision and the groups that you guys worked on that, is making sure there's access points. We're making sure there's security on every door, that people can have the fobs to get in and out, because we understand if they can't get out, people prop doors, and they're like, that's not good at all. When I take kids out from any door, I can get back in whatever closest door I want, but we're making sure it's costing money to do that, but you're making sure they can get in, because otherwise it's not good from a safety standpoint. But there's gonna be a lot of doors, people can get in and out, and it's clean, I really like it, and it's taken a lot of time to get to this point, but we're solid. And it's fun now because now we're meeting with committees, so we're meeting with secretary group, we're meeting with PE and actual inside the buildings we're moving now. So since we're solid on this exterior look, now we're doing the inside of how should the offices be set up, how is PE storage set up, what else do we have? We have the whole range of things happening. We have our interior design team, we have our playground committee, so we're just nonstop meetings, but it is fun because you're working toward this. So all the people that work to get to this point, I think it's paid off and it shows it. So I intend to send this to the staff since we just received these pictures today. I'll be emailing this to our entire staff so they see it, and obviously letting the media cover this as well. So we're confident enough to, if the money is there, we'll be in this ballpark to show it. Because otherwise we're doing tan vinyl siding on the whole building. And hopefully we're not having to do that. So any questions from anybody on that?
I'm having a lot of fun with this.
Yeah, well,
It's a lot of fun.
you're spending a lot of time, we certainly thank you for that.
Yeah, it is time, but you wanna do it right, and that's why we're taking the time to do it. It's really
Very
good.
good.
Good
It's
job.
awesome.
Okay, now can I add an update? In February, we met with for the financial review. We said we were gonna start looking at ways to, cut cost. And, looking at the new building of not only now, but, moving towards that new building of being more efficient. So we've been taking a deep dive in some areas that we could, cut cost without having to have a negative impact on students, without having a negative impact on programming, and not having to go through reduction in force with people. So we were looking at positions, and during that meeting, we talked about, some opportunities that we haven't had so much before with our declining enrollment. There's a steady decline in enrollment, so we were able to look at, as you saw in here with retirements, that's kind of a double-edged sword because we're, happy for the retirees. We're losing some great people for sure. Very happy for those that are retiring, but it's also given us an opportunity, to look at where we can, have some savings on not having the number of teachers because of that decline in enrollment. So, the plan that we kind of put forth, in that meeting, we've made a lot of progress on that. There are areas that we said that we could, cut back a little bit on, the number of staffs, or the staff members. And obviously, there's some areas that your class sizes will go up some, but it's not out of what we've not seen before. So it's not like some outrageous increase, but, so we've made a lot of progress in that and continue, we've always looked at ways of being more efficient, but I think we're in a good place now. Again, not negatively impacting anything with students and their programming and individuals. So, I guess our goal was to look at, the $1 million mark. I think, as of today, we're at about 1.3 million that we can save for, and still maintain our quality programs and, still having a positive impact on kids.
Very good.
Yeah, you guys have done a great job. It's amazing. Like you said, it's, congratulations to the retirees, but it really did work out in a great time. So that's great.
Going back to the building thing, the core minutes that I send those to you, if you don't get those, let me know.
Yep.
As soon as Laura Little sends them out, I usually forward them on to you so you can keep updated with the project and everything.
So Dan, will you be able to see that when you do your planning for the next fiscal planning, when you do your forecast, will we be able to really see it then? Okay.
We'll probably, after year end, we'll have an update.
That's phenomenal.
And, in 3 years, it's very encouraging too that, the additional efficiencies that we'll have with that,
Absolutely.
by being under one roof, not having to share teachers between buildings and the travel time and everything. So, there's some encouraging things as we move closer to the new building.
That's awesome. And we have to make sure in our discussions with our admin team, we're still talking about the now, because we talk about this will be great in 3 years, nobody cares about 3 years from now.
But it's not
We
3
care
years
about
from
the
now,
now,
it's
that's all
now.
that matters. So that's what we're doing, so. And clearly, we're not gonna be able to do this every year. We talked in pre-board of having the same volume of teachers because it's basically tying to the numbers that we have that fit, that makes sense. We have with Sharon Linder's departure here in a few months. We're having some secretary moves there that are happening. Mr. Kania has the business position here that still needs to be filled and named, but that figured out. We have an MD classroom at Maplehurst, which will be a teacher and an aide, and then likely the Kathy Smith that you accepted her resignation tonight, likely that fill. And right now on paper, that would be the finality of what we need to do for hiring. So from a hiring standpoint, it feels great because we're not going into June, July, and you're having to fill positions. I feel like we're very on top of it right now because sometimes that is a scary situation to be in because maybe the tops have been pulled to other school districts and then you're scrambling. I feel like we're in very good order for where we're at from a hiring standpoint.
And to mention all those hires, from my understanding, those are calculated in, and that is still the cost savings with all of that. It's obviously an estimate until you have the people in it, but am I speaking correctly? That is still with the estimated cost savings.
Yeah, because the hires, a couple that you approved tonight, that was kind of in that same range.
Right.
In February, we couldn't say that we would be able to hire somebody, with a BA step 0, but a lot of those we were able to do. So.
Any other discussion?
Back to the new bill, Mr. Rosenthal.
Yeah, I know.
I'm sorry.
Let's get back to the building. It's been a lot of.
Is there anything else
Yeah,
on
there's a
there?
lot of things, but yeah, I think we're seeing definitely.
Yeah, we'll try to keep you guys up to date as much as we
I know
can.
we don't have a
Appreciate
date.
that.
I know we don't have a
Okay.
date, but
I
maybe
really
mention
do.
like we're planning something in May, because who knows where our board meeting will land. Could we?
So we're planning a grand groundbreaking ceremony that our entire district, all of our kids, all 6 schools will be here. Hopefully it's not raining, hopefully it's not muddy across the street in that field, but we are doing groundbreaking. We're looking at the week of May 18 to the 22nd. So we're waiting on some confirmations from other individuals to like lock that date down. By next week, I will be putting that date out there, whether it be a one date that's going to happen regardless, or if depending on our people, we potentially could have one date listed and then a rain date if it's going to be less than great conditions. So we're looking to bring the entire district there, all of our staff, all of our kids. We're going to do the ceremonial with the shovels, the pretty shovels there, and that piece of the groundbreaking, say a few words, and then hopefully have our kids, all the bodies in our entire district, stand on the chalk line, which will be the footprint of that entire build. So I'm not a mathematician, I'm a social studies person, but I did the math, and we have enough that just standing this far apart, we can cover all the way around that, and we'll have drone flyovers and pictures to show that, because I remember when I came here and was hired in 2002, they had a similar of Norwalk High School in the footprint, minus the art gallery, this facility in the EPAC. So seeing that, and that just is good for longevity and show that. So we're doing a lot of things planning there. So coming next week, we'll have the date, and that'll be relayed to our entire staff. That'll be relayed to our community, and we'll be pushing it out there because we definitely want people to know, because you only get to do this one time, and most people it's one time in your life, not just one time in your career. So we're going to make sure we do it right. We're also going to involve some play equipment. So when you're here, we're going to be feeding everybody, and we're going to have different age groups having and on the Norwalk High School side, having your area in which you can go. So it might be kind of getting into plans that aren't detailed yet, but like a 10 to 1 time frame. So we'll have the ceremonial piece, the pictures on the footprint, and then depending, some will be eating, some will be playing in parts of on the Norwalk High School campus. And yeah, it'll be a fun day. So that is what we're planning. So you'll hear a lot more from us once we have those details locked, but it'll be that second to last week of kids in our school. So it'll be a fun time. And I thought about just having our PK8, but the high school kids need to be here as well. This is a district-wide, this is a community-wide, and we're gonna make sure the bond committee and everybody else that put in sweat equity, money, they're all gonna be invited to be there as well. So it's exciting times, and it's becoming very real for all of us.
Sorry to put you on the spot, but I think that's a really exciting thing too, and I'm glad that, you know, the idea of Mr. Cooley to do it while school is still in session, so nobody gets to miss out, so really excited about that. Any other board discussion?
rain, no rain.
No? All right, motion to adjourn.
So move.
Second? Second. Roll call, please.
Mr. Norris?
Yes.
Mrs. Burkett?
Yes.
Mrs. Crawford?
Yes.
Mr. Gonzalez?
Yes.
Mr. Ritzenthaler?
Yes.
Thank you.